So now what I'm going to ask you to do is go back over all the circles that you have circled and initialed next to it, and you're going to select for your first parent the 25 worst patterns that you recognise in them, and you're going to put it on this sheet which has got the blank space, and you're going to do that. And then you're going to go through it all again, but this time you are going to do the same again, but you're going to do it for another parent. So what you will want to do is rewind back to that spot, and when I do that little short meditation, you're going to want to do that for the other parent or another adoptive or you know, surrogate carer, parent or grandparent, and you're going to have to tap into that again and then go through it all, and you're going to have to then list again the 25 worst patterns of those people. So I mean, ordinarily it would be your mum and your dad, but you may have a caregiver who was there a lot. So it could be a grandparent if your mum was at work full time and they were looking for you. You may have an au pair. So they would also, so you could possibly have 3 and even more. But I would start with no more than maybe 3 at the moment, 4 if you've really got a lot of time. If there's other people that you do want to sort of go into. And after you've done the 2 lots of 25s, this is where it gets interesting, because so you should have at least 2 sheets with your mum's 25 worst patterns and your dad's 25 worst patterns. You're going to go through both of these lists and you're going to see if you recognise any of these worst patterns in yourself. And if you do, then you're going to add them to your own list of your 25 worst patterns. And then you are then going to have another little look at the negative love patterns and see if there's anything that maybe your mum or your dad didn't have that you might have. And you're going to add that on the list as well. So once you've finished this whole thing, you will have a list of 25, at least 25 negative love patterns that you have adopted from your childhood, and it has made you who you are today. And just from doing this exercise and just from seeing and looking at your mum and looking at your dad and seeing what their behaviours were and stuff like that, and then seeing the behaviours that you've adopted without realising it, it should make you see that, hello, I am literally a walking, talking ball of programs and patterns and behaviours and conditions that aren't even me. Like, these were all, you know, all 25 were just copied from my parents. And it really makes you, it sort of brings this distance between who you think you are or who you are actually being to the outside world and who you really are. And it can help just bring that awareness to that negative pattern. So if you know that a negative pattern of yours is find something, poor me, you know, it's a classic. A lot of people do poor me, and I did talk about this in one the other week. So if you do tend to do this, oh poor me, you know, victim, stuff like that, like, catch yourself. So when you see yourself being all poor me, like, go, my mum again, that's not me, it's not poor me, but it is a vibration, an emotional vibration energy that is automatic, and it just comes out. And every time you catch yourself, yeah, you just bring more and more awareness to yourself every time, until it comes to the point where you probably don't even do behaviour anymore, because you've brought your awareness to it so much that it halts you. Basically, it cuts the neuro pathways. So we've got neuro pathways, they're all connected. This little neuro pathway connects to that one that tells me that I have to be poor me. And every time it's subconsciously going in and wiring, going, yeah, poor me, poor me. Every time I catch it and go, poor, 1 minute, that isn't poor me, it's my mum. You know, and I might do it. But then each time I stop, eventually this neuro pathway won't join where it's supposed to go, because it will be broken. I hope that made sense. Yeah, there's neuro pathways in your brain, and they are just automatically sending signals around your whole being, telling you how you should and shouldn't behave. And when you catch yourself in the actual act and stop yourself and bring your awareness to it, then it stops the neuro pathway from connecting, and it eventually over time it gets weaker and weaker and weaker until you can then create a new behaviour pattern, because the old behaviour pattern isn't habitual anymore. And this is where it becomes interesting as well. I did this work about 7-8 years ago, I think it was. It was a long time ago. And I did a lot of analysing, to do with my mum and my dad. And what was really interesting for me when I did this is that I blamed all my issues, all my love difficulties on the fact that my dad had left when I was 8 years old. And it was all, I was convinced that it was all this negative programming from not feeling that my dad loved me, that he left me, and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah. And then when I did this work, I realised that actually everything that I thought about my dad was actually as a result of what my mum had told me, because I didn't really see my dad that much. So then I realised, oh my God, I've got all this, it's actually my mum that I've got the more work to do. So who I am is mainly adopted from what I observed in my mum. And what I then had to do was catch myself with all the negative stuff, but then also question whether there was some positive stuff that I wouldn't mind staying. It's all very well doing the negative stuff, but there is positive as well. Like my mum was really good with money. She was really good at bargain hunting and stuff like that, and I love a bargain hunt. I do. I like charity shops and boot fairs, and I like recycling stuff, and that is something that I wouldn't see as something negative. It's a behaviour pattern that I want to keep, but it's my choice. I've chosen that, rather than it being automatic and unaware to me, that I just go around buying bargains, not realising why I'm doing it. Basically, I'm a zombie because I'm just automatic and I'm conditioned. So this work really helps to wake you up to who you really are, and what you really are, and that is a byproduct of your parents and your upbringing. Now you are an adult, and now you have the opportunity to give yourself the love that you should have had from a child but was unable to receive because of all these negative patterns and behaviours that your parents had, and they didn't mean it. You really need to understand that they had these patterns because their parents had the same patterns, and they had the patterns because their parents had the patterns, and so on and so forth. So there's like a whole ancestral lineage of patterns and mentalities that has been passed down along this line until it got to you, and you are going to be the one that's going to break this chain. This ends with you. By bringing your conscious observation and awareness to this, it is going to break the chain for future generations, because you're aware of the programming and the patterns, and it doesn't need to affect our future. The vibration on planet Earth right now is so high and it is rising. I know it might not feel like it at the moment because we've got a lot of negative stuff going on, but in the background there's some really, really positive energy going on. And the main thing is that people are waking up. And because people are waking up, people are conversing with one another more consciously. People are more compassionate to one another. So a lot of these traits and traumas they'll soon not be in the human psyche, because so many people are doing so much work, like you doing this work right now. So many people are doing this work so that the future is going to be brighter, because we're doing all this work and it's amazing, and why wouldn't it be? So I'm going to leave you with that now, because that is probably a lot to process. So breathe. You might want to go back over and rewind it to do your other parent at a later stage. It might be a bit too much for you to do that right now, but it is ideal if you can do it all in one go and then look at yourself as well, just because you're in that mindset. But whatever suits you, whatever feels right for you is right. And I'm going to leave it now because I've been talking way too long, and I love you, and I will see you soon.